On November 11th, 2022, a 30-year-old named Sam Bankman-Fried woke up as one of the most powerful men in the world of crypto. His company, FTX, was worth $32 billion. 48 hours later, everything had vanished. Famous investors had lost everything. 1 million FTX customers couldn't withdraw their money. And the boy genius who had convinced the entire world that he was saving humanity with his profits was simply a criminal. But the strangest part of this story isn't how much money was lost. It's that Sam Bankman-Fried was absolutely convinced that everything he did was morally right. This is the story of how a college philosophy called effective altruism produced the largest fraud in the history of cryptocurrency, and how a 30-year-old destroyed $8 billion of other people's money believing, until the very end, that he was a hero. Sam Bankman-Fried was born in 1992 in Stanford, California. But he didn't grow up like any California kid. Both of his parents were law professors at Stanford University. His father, Joseph Bankman, was a tax law specialist. His mother, Barbara Fried, a professor of ethics and political philosophy. Sam grew up in a house where dinner was a university seminar. From childhood, Sam showed signs of being different. He was brilliant at mathematics, indifferent to sports, bored by most things that excited other children. At 14, Sam found something that did fascinate him: utilitarian philosophy. The idea, originally formulated by English philosopher Jeremy Bentham in the 18th century, holds that the right action is the one that produces the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. But for Sam, it wasn't just philosophy. It was a moral operating system. It was mathematics applied to ethics. Every action had a numerical value of good or evil, based on how many lives it affected. In 2010, at age 18, Sam entered the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, to study physics. There, he discovered a movement that changed his life: effective altruism. Effective altruism is a philosophical movement founded by Oxford academics. Its premise is radical. If you want to help the world, you don't donate to the first cause that moves you. You mathematically calculate which donation saves the most lives per dollar spent. Effective altruists believe that mosquito nets to prevent malaria save more lives per dollar than almost any other cause. And therefore, donating to that specific cause is mathematically superior to donating to any other. The movement was led by two Australian philosophers, William MacAskill and Toby Ord, both from Oxford University. MacAskill, young, brilliant, charismatic, would become Sam Bankman-Fried's intellectual mentor. When Sam was 20, MacAskill proposed something that would change everything. The idea: earning to give, earning to donate. The idea was simple, but radical. If you're a very talented person, instead of working at a non-profit, you should go to Wall Street, earn millions, and donate most of it to the most effective causes. Your impact on the world would be mathematically greater. For Sam, this was a revelation. It didn't just intellectually justify going to Wall Street. It made it morally obligatory. The more money he earned, the more lives he saved. It was pure mathematics. Sam adopted the philosophy with almost religious intensity. He decided that his life mission was to accumulate as much money as possible. Not for himself, but to save the world through massive donations. In 2014, at age 22, Sam graduated from MIT and accepted a job at Jane Street Capital, one of the most prestigious quantitative trading firms in the world. His starting salary, $600,000 a year. But even in his first job, Sam lived like a college student. He shared an apartment, ate cheap food, slept on a mattress on the floor. All the money he earned went to his Save the World account. His boss at Jane Street would later recall that Sam was mathematically brilliant but socially disengaged. Two things mattered to him: maximizing returns and sleeping as little as possible. In less than 3 years, Sam was earning over $1 million a year in bonuses. But in 2017, he decided to quit. Something much bigger had captured his attention: cryptocurrencies. In 2017, cryptocurrencies were exploding. Bitcoin had gone from $1,000 to $20,000 in 12 months. But something curious was happening. The price of Bitcoin in Japan was consistently higher than in the United States. For a quantitative trader like Sam, this was an immediate opportunity. The price difference between Japan and the United States could reach 30%. If you could buy Bitcoin in the US and sell it in Japan, it was guaranteed profit. The problem: it wasn't easy to move money between countries, and nobody had managed to scale it enough. Sam saw the opportunity. In November 2017, Sam founded Alameda Research alongside other effective altruists he had met at MIT. The plan: use algorithmic trading to exploit Bitcoin price differences between countries and donate all profits to effective causes. Among the co-founders was Caroline Ellison, a young mathematician graduated from Stanford. Caroline was also an effective altruist, and eventually she would become Sam's girlfriend and Alameda's CEO. The team worked 18 hours a day. They slept on the office floor. They ate whatever they ordered for delivery. And in their first year, Alameda generated millions in profits almost exclusively by arbitraging the price of Bitcoin between the US and Asia. But Sam wanted more. If Alameda was a trading fund, its scale was limited to the capital they had. Sam saw a much bigger opportunity. Instead of trading on existing exchanges, he would create his own exchange. In May 2019, Sam founded FTX. The idea was simple: an exchange designed by traders, for traders. Faster with lower commissions, with more sophisticated derivative products that traditional exchanges didn't offer. Initially, FTX operated from Hong Kong, but there was a problem. The Chinese regulator was tightening on cryptocurrencies. Sam needed a friendlier jurisdiction. In September 2021, he moved the entire operation to the Bahamas. Sam and his core team of 10 people, all effective altruists, all young, all single, moved into a $30 million penthouse in Albany, an exclusive Bahamas development. There they lived and worked together. The line between personal and professional life vanished. By 2021, FTX was growing at a speed unprecedented in cryptocurrency history. In less than 2 years from founding, it had 5 million users. Its valuation, $25 billion. The world's most prestigious investors wanted in. Sequoia Capital, one of the most respected venture capital firms, invested $213 million. SoftBank, BlackRock, Tiger Global, Singapore's Temasek, the Ontario Teachers' Pension Plan, all wanted their piece of the FTX phenomenon. Sequoia Capital, founded in 1972, known for having discovered Apple, Google, WhatsApp, and Airbnb, published a glowing essay about Sam, titled Sam Bankman-Fried has a savior complex, and maybe you should too. The article described Sam as the next Warren Buffett, the smartest human being they had ever met, and the man who would probably save humanity. Sam appeared on the cover of Fortune, in Forbes, in the Financial Times. The media idolized him. The reason, unlike other crypto billionaires, Sam literally donated billions to humanitarian causes. In 2022, Sam Bankman-Fried was one of the most photographed people in the world. But all the photos had something in common. He always wore the same wrinkled t-shirt, the same worn shorts. It was part of his personal brand, the billionaire genius who didn't care about material things. By early 2022, FTX was worth $32 billion. Sam Bankman-Fried personally was worth over $26 billion. At 30 years old, he was one of the richest people in the world, and he began using that money exactly as he had promised. He donated $5.2 million to Joe Biden's presidential campaign, donated tens of millions to global health organizations, donated millions to pandemic research, donated to artificial intelligence institutes, donated. By 2022, Sam Bankman-Fried was the second largest individual donor to the Democratic Party, behind only George Soros. But he also donated millions to Republicans. His philosophy: bipartisanship was an effective investment. In February 2022, FTX spent $30 million on a single Super Bowl commercial. It starred comedian Larry David. The message: if you don't invest in crypto through FTX, you're an idiot who will miss the next big thing. Sam bought the naming rights to the Miami Heat NBA arena, sponsored the Mercedes Formula One team, signed Tom Brady, Stephen Curry, Shaquille O'Neal, and Naomi Osaka as spokespeople. The famous athletes and celebrities endorsing FTX weren't financial advisors, but millions of fans trusted them. Entire families put their savings into FTX, convinced it was the safe investment of the future. In May 2022, Sam was invited to the White House. Meetings with the Biden administration, with the Senate, with the president's economic team. He spoke about cryptocurrency regulation as if he were the natural spokesperson for the sector. He appeared in Vogue, in Vanity Fair, on fashion magazine covers. He attended the Met Gala. He hung out with Hollywood celebrities. And despite all of this, he continued wearing the same wrinkled t-shirt and the same gym shorts. And while all of this was happening externally, in the Bahamas, Sam still slept on office beanbags. His partner, Caroline Ellison, ran Alameda Research from another part of the penthouse. The relationship between the two companies was complex, but no one in the world cared to look closely. But behind the public figures, there was a secret. Sam was doing something that no legitimate cryptocurrency exchange should ever do. Something that, eventually, would destroy everything. Here's the secret. Alameda Research, Sam's trading fund, was using FTX customer money to make its own bets, and that is a federal crime. To understand the magnitude, when a customer deposits money into a legitimate exchange, that money must remain segregated, unable to be used by the company for anything else. It's like a bank that can't lend your savings without permission. But FTX and Alameda shared balances. Through secret computer code created by Gary Wang, FTX co-founder and chief technical officer, Alameda could withdraw money from FTX customers without restrictions. It was a backdoor, and nobody outside knew. By late 2022, Alameda had used nearly $8 billion of FTX customer money to make high-risk investments. And many of those investments were losing. But as long as customers didn't withdraw their money all at once, no one would notice. On November 2, 2022, a cryptocurrency publication called CoinDesk published an article, an apparently technical article, an apparently boring article, that was about to destroy a $32 billion empire. The article revealed something curious. Alameda Research's balance sheet consisted mainly of a cryptocurrency called FTT, the native token of FTX. In other words, Alameda's assets were chips issued by Sam's own sister company. This was the financial equivalent of discovering that a bank had been lending money backed by bonds that the bank itself had issued. If those bonds lost value, the entire system would collapse in cascade. 5 days after the CoinDesk article, on November 6th, Changpeng Zhao, the founder of Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange and FTX's direct rival, announced on Twitter that he was going to sell all his FTT tokens. It was like screaming fire in a crowded theater. FTX customers began withdrawing their money en masse. In 24 hours, withdrawals exceeded $5 billion. FTX didn't have the money. They never had. On November 8th, FTX halted all withdrawals. Officially, it was for technical maintenance. In reality, they didn't have the money to return. For 48 hours, Sam desperately tried to secure a bailout. He called investors. He called other crypto billionaires. He tried to negotiate a buyout with Binance. The deal was preliminarily signed, and the next day, Binance pulled out after reviewing the books. On November 11th, 2022, exactly 9 days after the CoinDesk article, FTX filed for bankruptcy. 130 companies related to Sam Bankman-Fried collapsed simultaneously. 1 million customers lost access to their money. To liquidate the disaster, the courts appointed John Ray III, the legendary liquidator, who had also liquidated Enron 20 years before. Ray, a man who had seen the worst corporate frauds in American history, said something extraordinary. In his first court filing, John Ray said, "Never in my career have I seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information as occurred here." On December the 12th, 2022, Bahamas authorities arrested Sam Bankman-Fried. There were no more beanbags, no more wrinkled t-shirts, no more utilitarian philosophy. Sam was extradited to the United States. The federal government charged him with 7 counts: wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and violations of campaign finance laws. But before the trial, Sam's 3 closest co-founders, Caroline Ellison, Gary Wang, and Nishad Singh, did something that changed everything. They pleaded guilty and agreed to testify against him in exchange for reduced sentences. The trial began in October 2023 in the Southern District of New York. The prosecution was led by Damian Williams, the most prominent federal prosecutor in the United States. The judge, Lewis Kaplan, known for his severity. Caroline Ellison was the star witness. For 3 days, she narrated under oath exactly how Sam had orchestrated the fraud, how he knew customer money was being used by Alameda, how he had lied to investors, how he had celebrated gains while customers remained unaware of the truth. But there was a moment in Caroline's testimony that became emblematic. When asked if Sam had ever expressed guilt for what they were doing, she answered, "No, Sam believed he was doing the right thing. He said that common sense morality was inferior to utilitarian calculation. Sam himself testified in his own defense. For days on the stand, he tried to explain that he had never intended to commit fraud, that everything had been management errors, that customer money had simply been miscategorized. Judge Kaplan didn't believe him. Neither did the jury. On November 2nd, 2023, exactly 1 year after the CoinDesk article, the jury deliberated for less than 5 hours. The verdict, guilty on all 7 counts. In March 2024, Judge Kaplan issued the sentence. In his remarks, Kaplan described Sam as a person without remorse, without humility, and willing to lie, even under oath. The sentence, 25 years in federal prison. Sam Bankman-Fried is currently 32 years old. If he serves his full sentence, he will walk free at 57, having lost the majority of his adult life behind bars. The final losses: approximately $8 billion from 1 million customers around the world. Many were small investors, teachers, retirees, young professionals who had put their savings into what they believed was a new form of finance. The story of Sam Bankman-Fried is not the story of just another fraud. It's something deeper. It's the story of how a well-intentioned philosophy, taken to extremes, can be used to justify almost anything. Effective altruism, in its original form, is a noble idea. Use reason to maximize the good you do in the world. But Sam transformed that idea into something different. If the end justifies the means, then there are no limits to what you can do as long as you believe you're saving people. The lesson of Sam Bankman-Fried has 3 parts. First, moral certainty is more dangerous than greed. Criminals who act out of greed know they are doing something wrong. Criminals who act out of philosophical conviction believe they are doing the right thing, and that is precisely why they do not stop. Second, other people's money is not a moral tool. When FTX customers deposited their money, they did not authorize Sam to use it to save the world. People have the right to decide how their own money is used, even if that decision is philosophically suboptimal. Third, and most profound, mathematics cannot replace conscience. Sam Bankman-Fried turned ethics into a spreadsheet. He believed that if the numbers added up in favor of good, the individual actions were justified. But conscience is not a variable. It is what makes us human. Sam Bankman-Fried will enter federal prison, having literally donated hundreds of millions of dollars to humanitarian causes. And yet, he will leave behind 1 million victims. The philosophical question his case raises, whether good consequences can justify bad means, will remain open forever. But there is something that the case of Sam Bankman-Fried did make clear. When someone tells you they're willing to break the rules because they have moral reasons superior to yours, run. You're not talking to a hero, you're talking to a fraud waiting to be discovered. Because history has shown again and again that the worst crimes against other people were not committed by people who knew they were doing evil. They were committed by people convinced they were doing good. If you choose to witness their stories, subscribe to Rise and Ruin. Next, we follow another empire from glory to dust.